If you were to take your kid to a toy store and ask what they want, they'd probably tell you everything. Well, once upon a time, Nickelodeon granted this wish with their Super Toy Run sweepstakes. This was a contest that ran annually, offering kids the chance to grab as many toys as they could in just 5 minutes, and today we're going to be running through its history. We'll be looking back on the toy run, how it worked, who won, what stores promoted it, as well as some related nostalgia, of course. As always, I'm your host Brian. Patreon.com/PixPortraits is how you can support us here. We have a new video up there now, running down the malls of my life, revisiting them. $5 gets you access to that, and dozens of other videos, as well as digital copies of my book, The Nostalgia Economy. So, if you like what we do, want to make it happen, please consider supporting us. Before we get into the toy run itself, I'd like to give a little bit of background on the network, Nickelodeon. It launched in 1979 as a network aimed towards children, one of the early cable specialty channels. Pre-cable, television networks would have programming blocks dedicated to cartoons or children's programming, after school, Saturday morning. But this was the first time an entire network ran nothing but children's content. Nickelodeon was not successful at first. Their most popular show was actually imported from Canada. You can't do that on television. A sketch comedy aimed towards kids. That's where they got the slime, which would become iconic. But still, Nickelodeon really didn't take off until the mid-80s. That's when you start seeing familiar shows like Double Dare, game show, that took slime to a whole other level. This was packaged around a rebrand by Fred Seibert and Alan Goodman. I believe in our Comedy Central video, we talked about Fred Allen and the idea of network branding, positioning a channel in a certain way. They were responsible for MTV's signature IDs and the general vibe of that channel, and they would do the same thing for Nick. I'll link to their website that has all sorts of documents outlining exactly how they did this, but this is where you start getting the orange splatter, the doo-wop, talking to kids on their level, treating them as the target audience. Nickelodeon was not just a channel that played kid shows. It was for kids only, no parents allowed, this is for you, kid. And we see that attitude continue pretty much for the duration of the entire toy run, which was also a product of this time, the mid-80s. Every promo ends with some kind of slogan, the kids' first network, the only place where kids win. They really leaned into it, and Nickelodeon became very popular. I couldn't really find much on the first Super Toy Run. There was also some conflicting information. I believe the first one took place in 1984, at least that's when it was promoted. Contestants entered through the end of the year, and the toy run itself happened early the next. So the dates are kind of funny, but the first Super Toy Run, January 1985, was not super. It was just the Nick Toy Run. Took place at a children's palace. This was a toy store chain whose stores resembled castles. They went out of business in 1992, but they do have the distinction of kicking off the toy run. The following year, 1986, Nickelodeon partnered with Toys R Us for what they dubbed the Super Toy Run. Bigger, better than last time, and this name stuck. The commercial I found does a pretty good job of outlining the formula they would more or less use going forward. Contestants could enter by filling out a form at Toys R Us or by sending in a postcard with their name, address, age, and phone number. Name, address, age, and phone number was something you used to hear a lot when watching kids' TV. Pre-internet, this was how contests were entered. You fill out a postcard, mail it in, and hope for the best. Many will enter, few will win. If you did win the Super Toy Run, you would be given 5 minutes to run through a Toys R Us and fill as many carts as you could with toys. This took some inspiration from the game show Supermarket Sweep from the 60s. It's been remade a few times, including recently. But a part of the game included frantically running through a supermarket and putting items in a cart. Looking at this clip here, it's very similar to what you see with the Toy Run. This was marketed as every kid's dream come true. Any toy you wanted, for free, if you could grab it, get across the finish line, it's yours. The commercials made it look one way, but here is footage, raw news footage from the 1986 event. It moves very fast, as is to be expected, but we get some great shots of different merch. We see some wrestling, Barbie aisle, all unfiltered. So much of what is available for the toy run and what we will see is through a corporate lens, heavily edited, but this is what it was, and it seems like it was a lot. Very overwhelming, camera people running around, people yelling at you, directing, dropping stuff. It looks exhausting. Still, the idea proved very successful. Of course, why wouldn't it? Any kid would want to win. There were additional prizes, sometimes a trip, cash prizes, gift certificates, charity. Some years you can get stuff for your friends or siblings. By 1989, the Super Toy Run was well established. You start seeing strategies as part of the marketing. I'm sure many kids watching at home would be coming up with their own. I feel like I'd have a plan, but when the time came to run, I'd have an anxiety attack and end up with a bunch of stuff I didn't want out of panicking. That's just the kind of kid I was. In 1991, Nickelodeon as a network went through a major change. This was the year the first 3 Nicktoons premiered, the original cartoons that would define them throughout the 1990s, Ren and Stimpy, Doug, and Rugrats. We talked about this in our Fast Food History 90s cartoon video, but this really kicked off a new wave of animation and marked a new era for Nickelodeon and for the Super Toy Run. That year, the contest jumped to America's other major toy retailer, KB Toys, kept a similar format to the Toys R Us version: mail in, win, 5 minutes, all you can grab. During this time, we started seeing short vignettes produced, or at least preserved, with the winners. These would air alongside commercials and chronicled the experience, like this kid who won a trip to Hawaii and absolutely cleaned up. Personalizing it, I would want to hit up the video games. This seemed to be the strategy of many winners, reading interviews or histories, that's where the money was. Looking into what the winners ended up grabbing, $8,000 worth of toys, $10,000, they really did pay out for these kids. There was a great article I'll link to talking with one of the winners years later, who basically says all the toys were eventually thrown out or sold. He was let down because when he won, it was at KB Toys, which was smaller than Toys R Us. Very interesting read, check it out. The Toy Run eventually did return to Toys R Us in 1995, launching the Nickelodeon Toy Factory at the same time. This was an entire section of Toys R Us stores dedicated to Nickelodeon merchandise. They had a ton of stuff: slime, GAC, alarm clocks, videotapes, toys, obviously, from Nickelodeon shows, Nicktoons. Most retail promotions are very sterile nowadays. Basically, here's the product, buy it, get out. You might get a poster or a banner, but a lot of love and effort went into marketing this, to make customers feel like they were being immersed in this world, like these products had an identity, showing they were part of something bigger, and that drives interest, makes people want to buy. The Super Toy Run ran annually until 2001. Nick has brought it back a few times since then as the Great Big Toy Run. Toys R Us obviously went out of business in the States. They are trying to stage a comeback. We talked about that recently. The last few toy runs in 2018 actually took place at a Walmart because of that. From what I've seen, it's basically over, done. Now, there are a few reasons why the toy run concept really doesn't work as well as it did in the past. The big one, like I just said, Toys R Us went out of business, KB Toys went out of business, retail in general just isn't what it used to be. We are at the point where the target audience has largely grown up in a world without these sorts of stores. They are more used to scrolling pages of products than browsing aisles. The way people, kids, interact with content has also changed radically. It's no longer about filling out a form and mailing it in. Things move much quicker now. It's comment on this post, share, use this hashtag to be entered to win. The Super Toy Run is very much a relic of another time. If you won the Super Toy Run, what toys would you grab? As an adult, are there any stores you'd like a 5-minute shopping spree at? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and again, if you have the means, please consider supporting us on Patreon. As always, thank you so much for your interest in this channel, and thanks for watching. See you in the future.